So, welcome, folks, to the program tonight. I'm your host here, Dave Schmidt, on the Sedona Connection. And for those of you that are viewing this on Facebook, you see I've got a new backdrop. I've actually got my video with a little Sedona Connection backdrop that's on there. So it's 6 p.m. on the West Coast, it's 9 p.m. on the East Coast, and that means it's 6 p.m. at my home here in Sedona, Arizona. Now, for those of you that don't know, we do things a little differently here in Arizona. We're only one of two states that do not change our clocks in the spring and the fall. So what that means is instead of changing our clocks, we actually change time zones. So now that we're in what is called the summer time of the clocks, I'm in Pacific time, West Coast time. In the winter time, I'm in mountain time. But it's 6 p.m. at my home here in Sedona, Arizona. I want to thank everybody for joining us here tonight. It's been a while since I've been back on the program. And I think we've got some decent stuff that's going on here tonight. So let me see here. I want to just see if I can change this I think we've got some decent stuff. Oh, I didn't want that to happen. Okay. So I want to make sure if I can change this just a little bit more. No, we're fine. We're fine. So let's go back to that Facebook Live. There we are. Okay. Now, I want to make sure everybody can hear me because, see, I have to mute myself because otherwise, if I don't mute myself, I end up getting the delayed recording. That doesn't sound very good. So that's why I always like to make sure that everything seems to be okay. But wow. So we're up to 35 participants now on free conference call. And this is the first time I'm using that program. I've never used free conference call before, so it's the very first time I'm using that program. I hope everything works out because, see, remember we used to have Blog Talk Radio. Well, they went bye-bye. They stopped. They are no longer in business. Okay, free conference. I mean, Blog Talk Radio is no longer in business. They went out of business. So this free conference call is the one that we'll use now. Later in the program, I'm going to invite maybe one or two of you to call in to see how that will work. I haven't worked through those bugs yet, okay? But other than that, everything is good. Everything is ready to go. So let's get on with the actual program tonight. So what's going on? Well, as you remember, the vast majority of all of us are here because of what we call this currency exchange. If you don't quite really understand the full depth of the program, go to my website, thesedonaconnection.com, and watch what is called the workshop content videos. It explains this program. And also, if you have friends that may want to join into the currency exchange, you can refer them to that and have them watch what is called the workshop content videos. It explains the program. It explains the background and the history. It explains all the gold that was originally from this group called the Dragon families in Hong Kong. And it explains how this money has been transferred to what is called the Texas Processing Office. And they're the ones that hold all of our accounts. And they're the ones that will end up paying us. Hold on, excuse me a minute. Now, what I do, I don't have what is called a direct account with the Texas Processing Office, and that's for security reasons. I go through a major broker. This broker is a banker that's based out of New Zealand, and he is on the board with the processing office. He is their banker, that is their banking advisor. He spends time with them almost every single week in their conference calls, what they have there. And I can remember one time, maybe about a year and a half to 2 years ago, when all this money was in a bank account that's going to pay all of us. It was at HSBC Bank in Hong Kong. Now, they have since moved it from there because it was about 2.5, 3 years ago, Hong Kong was having some tension with China. And we have to remember that Hong Kong is a part of China. They're part of the government of China. China could come in and just totally shut down and take over and do whatever they wanted to if they wanted to. So for security reasons, they have moved the bank accounts out of Hong Kong, and it says they have placed the funds in multiple Western banks. But it was there in Hong Kong, I remember talking with my broker, and he said, Dave, I saw this bank account online, and it had so many zeros in it, I couldn't even count them. And we have to remember, what is the real purpose of all of this? The purpose of this currency exchange, it's important to know it's not about us. We're just beneficiaries to a much, much larger process that is going on. We have lived in the world where the money supply system is basically dominated by the United States Federal Reserve banking system. And though the Federal Reserve is in the United States, they are so strong and so powerful that they basically influence or control the world's money supply. And it's amazing how many people do not know that the Federal Reserve is not a government agency. You heard me right. It is not a government agency. It's a private corporation. So here you have this private corporation, this private business that can print up $1 trillion anytime that they want to, and they dominate and control the world's money supply. And who controls that? Well, it's predominantly the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. These old, extremely wealthy banking families. Now, if you look at what they would say publicly is their net worth, you're never going to see the whole thing. But underneath it, they have this massive amount of wealth that's in the trillions of dollars for both of them. They dominate and control the world's money supply. And it's all designed to have what is called limited people become extremely wealthy that is a part of their in-group. And then all of us common folks, we're basically their slaves. We work for their businesses and their corporations to make them very wealthy, and they set up a system that it's extremely difficult to become self-sufficient and wealthy. You have to really work your butt off in your own private business to be able to have enough money to be self-sufficient. The vast majority of us are what we call slaves to their system. Now, yes, we can have a good job and we get our vacations and all that kind of stuff, but we don't have the freedom to do what we want, when we want, go where we want, when we want, and being able to have that freedom to be self-sufficient for ourselves. Now, this money of the currency exchange is designed to neuter the current dominated Federal Reserve banking system. It's not going to destroy them. It's not going to do away with them, but it's going to neuter their power and their control. And by what happened is they found the Dragon families found it says, how can the cabal stop 60 to 80,000 people becoming overnight millionaires and told, go spend this money? When you have that many people having that much money and it's spread out globally, it basically takes the current Federal Reserve System and says, your money is insufficient. Oh, it'll still be there, but you can't control us any longer. We will be free. And it's important to understand this currency exchange is just the start of a much longer and greater process to basically set us free. Now, the question is always when. I've been doing this program now for about 10 years. In fact, I started 10 years and 1 month ago. Now, I didn't start out bringing in money for the currency exchange right away. That didn't start until I think it was around 2016. So I've been doing this for about 9 years. And we're always asking when. Well, it's important to let me share that they will never pre-announce when it's going to happen for security reasons, and they are very cautious and careful about what they share with me, because when it comes to the currency exchange that is run by the Texas Processing Office, I am the only one that I am aware of that does a live radio program, talks about it, invites you in to be a part of the exchange, and also has these workshops that I do that anybody can come attend. So I do workshops, I do newsletters, and I do this radio program, and I'm usually on the air about every other week. And as far as I know, I'm the only one that's allowed to do all that. Now, there's a reason for that. I'm not going to go into great details, but it was about 9 years ago when I went to Hong Kong and met with what is called the Dragon family. They are the originators of the programs, and they were the originators of the funds. Now, it's important to know they don't run the program. They have nothing to do with the administration of the currency exchange, but they are the originators of the funds that is available for us. And when I met with them, I met with a gentleman called the Red Dragon. And he said, there's a reason why you're here and why we allow you to be a part of what is happening. He says, we have been a family that's been around for thousands of years. And for a couple thousands of years, we've had this massive amount of gold. And at one time, we had more gold than anybody in the world. But we always knew this gold didn't belong to us. It belonged to humanity. And it belongs to humanity to be released at the right appropriate time. And this is that time from a couple of thousand years of basically waiting for it to happen. And when I remember and I had totally forgotten this until just about maybe a year and a half to 2 years ago, he said, the reason why you're here is because we're very careful and very cautious about those that are a part of our family bloodline. And we've done our research on you. We know more about you than you probably know about you. But the bottom line is you are an ancient part of our dragon family bloodline. Now, the dragon families are not just Chinese. They are European, Middle Eastern, Asian, and Chinese royal families, old ancient royal families. And he said, you're in that bloodline. And what's interesting, my daughter had been using some of these new genealogical websites, and she basically took our family, my genealogy family, and took us back over 2,000 years in tracing, generation by generation. And that's where I saw that, yep, he was right. The Red Dragon was right. We could see the commonality of us, he and I, in the same bloodline. When we went back around 12 to 1500 years is where the real connection came. Now, it's gone distant and moved out since then, but he said, we did our research on you, and there's a reason why you're here, because you're a part of our family bloodline. And why is that important? He says, it's not to be egotistical, but it's a part of the DNA structure that allows this energy to move through all this so it stays in the right process. Now, that's the background. That's the history. Now, what about the release of the funds? We have been told this Texas processing office, where all this money is, it's overseen by white hats in the U.S. Treasury and the CIA. They don't run and administrate the program, but U.S. Treasury has the authorization to say when the funds can be released. And why is that? Because see, Treasury controls how much money is moving in and out of our country so that we keep our economy in somewhat of a stable situation. So it's the Treasury that is going to decide, have the final decision when the funds will be released. Now, here's what I have heard. I've heard this story secondhand. I can't say it's totally accurate. But what I was told from another source is that President Trump, in between his two terms, had went and visited the Texas processing office. So he is aware of this program. And when he came into office and he has it will be 2 months tomorrow that he's been in office. Well, he had to appoint a new Treasury Secretary. So that Treasury Secretary had to get up to speed within his responsibility, get to know all of his primary assistants, get to know what the scope is of his full job before he's ready to settle down and start doing a lot of other issues. And I've been told that's what we're waiting for. And the word is we could be very close. Now, that is not official. It is speculation on my part. And remember, the processing office doesn't give me specific information because I'm the one that gets to do this program. And if they gave me too much detailed, specific information, I might accidentally say something that could create some serious problems. So I'm minimized on the information that I can give you. But that's the information that I have now. It's speculation, but my speculation is I think we're getting very, very close to seeing these funds being released. Now, from there's just a lot of chaos that's been going on out there around the world. Things are getting kind of crazy. And there's a lot of different channelers and intuitives that are saying the same thing. 2025 is the year of major change that's going to go on in our world. And then on a practical note, I follow Ben Fulford a lot. Ben is a very, very good source of what I call is, the shadow world information. In the workshops, I share that we live in a world of two different worlds. There's the conventional world. The conventional world is the one that we see, the one that appears in the news, all the different broadcasts that go on, everything that's brought out to us in the public. That's the conventional world. But underneath that is the shadow world. What goes on in the shadows that is not known publicly. And Ben Fulford is a really, really good source of what I call shadow world data and information. And he is saying himself also, the Federal Reserve is on their way out. And he says it's going to be replaced by a new system. Now, he never talks about the currency exchange because I don't think he knows those details. There was a question asked to him, what about NESARA GESARA? And he said there is no such thing as NESARA GESARA, and I totally agree with that. And I'm not going to go into those details tonight because I want us to get on with the program. But what I have for us tonight is I have about some videos that I want to share, and they're very short videos that basically send a very, very strong message. And let's go to this first video now where it talks about how it is the power of finance that really runs and controls our world.
Is it the reptilians? Is it the Illuminati? Is it the Freemasons? We could go on and on and on and on about this, but I don't think it is reasonable to even begin arguing about the mechanism that is used to exert this control. The mechanism is finance. The whole point of finance is to indent, otherwise to enslave. What is a mortgage? I mean, what does that stand for? It's a death grip. So when you get a mortgage, you have a death grip held over you because you are in debt. You don't even own the house. The bank owns the house that loans you the money to buy the house, unless you're fortunate enough to have all the money to buy it outright. And even then, you can be taxed by the government, and if you fail to keep up with those taxes, the government can then take it from you. The whole system is based on a financial fraud, which effectively takes the power that we have, and it gives it to a tiny group of individuals who are running the world through the control of finance. It is very clear that the head of the snake is the financial system.
Okay, that's the first one. The head of the snake, the head of the world, is the financial system. Now, the second video talks about that we're in the process of moving into a financial revolution. So let's watch this one. This is from the Palladians.
This means they are targeting the very financial systems that have kept the cabal in power. Money is the lifeblood of the old control grid. It was through control of banking, currency, and debt that the cabal could blackmail nations, finance their dark projects, and buy the silence of the media. So the Alliance knew that to truly free humanity, they would have to take down or transform the financial system that served as the cabal's stronghold. This is one reason we see an impending financial collapse or radical shift. It is deliberate and part of the plan, though it will be blamed on other factors publicly. The strategy has been to corner the cabal financially and cut off their supply lines. For example, by disrupting global money laundering operations and closing tax haven loopholes, the Alliance quietly choked off funding sources for many dark programs internationally. White Hats have worked with positive factions in countries around the world to move away from the cabal-controlled petrodollar system. In summary, the White Hat strategy has been meticulous. Place the right people in the right positions, neutralize opposition through negotiation or quiet removal, and attack the root of the cabal's power, their financial networks. All of this sets the stage for the big reveal and the big switch to new systems that serve humanity. The genius of this plan is that it doesn't rely on just blind faith. You will see tangible changes. A new financial system is one of the biggest tangible markers of victory. So, when you witness economic turbulence, remember this perspective. It is the storm before the rainbow, the necessary turmoil as the world shifts from an enslaving economy to a freeing one. Keep your confidence knowing that a safety net is in place and that the white hats, advised by higher guidance, have accounted for as many variables as possible. The financial drama is, in fact, one of the final battlefields where truth will triumph and pave the way to global ascension. We see only a few major moves remaining on the cabal's chessboard, and they are likely to try them in rapid succession or simultaneously. These could include engineering further conflicts or wars to activate martial law, or distract from disclosures, attempting a cyber pandemic or massive hacking attack to blame the coming financial collapse on something other than them, pushing extreme climate or food crises narratives to induce panic, or even a false flag alien invasion scenario using their secret technologies, hoping to unite the world under their militarized control, portraying benevolent ETs as enemies. Be aware of these possibilities, but do not fear them. In all cases, the Alliance is steps ahead and has countermeasures ready. Welcome to part 3 of the probable...
Okay, very, very, very good info in that video. Now, also just as a reminder to you, is that this program is saved on my Facebook page. And then what I do is that after the program tonight or tomorrow morning, I'll do a little bit of editing on it. And then I send the recorded video out to you in my newsletter, so it's always available. But that last video has very, very powerful information in it. And basically it says, plan on the fact that we're going to see some chaos taking place. There's going to be a lot of chaotic events and a lot of turmoil. And what's really important is when that happens, that we don't fall into fear. You rise above it. It's what I call be the observer of the drama versus a participant in the drama. Just let it be, observe it, but don't allow your energy to fall into that. Now, what does this mean? It means that in this change, where there's a lot of potential turmoil that's coming, but out of that is the rise of what others are saying is the golden age. Now, this was ironic because it was about 1.5 to 2 weeks ago when President Trump gave his message. It would normally be called his State of the Union. He talked about that America and the world is moving into the golden age. I thought that was so ironic that he had said that, because I had already decided that I was going to share these videos before he even said that. So, but whatever. Let's watch this next video called The Cycle of the Golden Age.
At least 4 of them. Now we're heading into the 5th age, which is the age of Aquarius, which starts in 2025. And we're heading in through the Yuga cycle, which now I believe we're in the Tetra Yuga, heading back into a Silver Age, heading back towards the Golden Age, which will take thousands of years, but we're on the right track. However, what is stopping us from staying in the Golden Age? 4 times we've had a Golden Age. How come we keep falling back down? What is stopping us from staying and maintaining the Golden Age? There's nowhere that I've ever read in any book, text, scripture, papyrus, cylinder, scroll, anything that says you have to fall. It just says the cycle happens. But what if this civilization is the one that rises and doesn't fall? What if we're the ones that really truly learn what happened in the ancient past, and we're able to utilize that knowledge and that wisdom, because the past is prologue, to stop the fall of a golden age in the future? That's my ultimate mission. That's my main objective. How do I help usher mankind back towards that age? I'm planting seeds of a tree that are going to grow. I will never sit in the shade of those trees. But the work that I'm doing, I feel, will have some impact on the golden age.
Fascinating. Fascinating.
Okay, so there's that one now. And then let's go on to the last one called That the Golden Age is Here. So let's watch that video.
To enslave you and keep you trapped. The financial system, the educational system, the medical system, all of it is backwards, and it was never designed to actually benefit you. Most of everything that has been put in place is to harm you. The golden age is the beautiful transitionary phase we are experiencing as of now to free mankind from spiritual, mental, physical enslavement. Because the truths of our world have been hidden away for so fucking long, and I am still so fascinated that there are people who have accepted this little life that we've been taught to live. You are such a divine, powerful, spiritual being, and this has been kept away, hidden from you your entire life because they don't want people to be empowered and conscious and aware, because holy shit, you cannot control and manipulate when human beings are in their full power. And I don't think you and I understand how powerful we are. I may know this mentally, but I think that once we experience these changes in real time, the world that we have all come to know will make no fucking sense. Slaving at a job that you hate just to pay your bills? What? Just to pay your taxes? What are taxes? Why are we paying taxes? Yeah, all of it's about to blow up. The financial system, the educational system, the medical system, the food system. You can expect literally every aspect of this world to not be the same whatsoever. Because quite frankly, everything that was put in place was to enslave your consciousness, harm your physical being, like your health, keep you limited, because they know exactly how your mind works. They know exactly what to feed you and how to control your emotions so that you stay stuck in a fearful vibration your entire fucking life. So when people say you need to exit the matrix, it's not about leaving the matrix, it's about freeing your mind from matrix fucking programming that is keeping you limited, hence keeping you in a controlled state of being, because that's exactly where they want you. Imagine if everyone knew how powerful they are, how they have the power to heal themselves, if everyone had access to all of these healing technologies that have always existed. Good luck selling people pills and selling them remedies, and our entire world is backwards. The golden age is the time where we decongest the planet from all of this dark shit. And I'm not saying I'm right, I'm not saying I know everything, I'm just saying that this feels like what the fuck I'm here for. Not in an egoic way, just in a way that like the world we live in makes no fucking sense once you open your eyes and your mind. If you do not know how to navigate this physical experience after having multiple awakenings, I highly suggest you get your copy of my ebook, How to Not Lose Your Shit After Unplugging from the Matrix, because no one tells you how to live your life afterwards. And I think that everyone is going to have to get to know life all over again. Because the truth of slaving away at a job and getting a degree and saving your pension, and I know your soul doesn't resonate with it. I know your soul doesn't want to participate in it, and that is why that at this moment in time, mankind is being freed from that. Like, you're literally in a spiritual war right now that you cannot physically see, and it is the most beautiful thing to be a part of. And yes, it might get heavy and rocky, and there are days where I just don't want to be here, and to be honest with you. But I think that we are all uniquely serving a purpose by all having our individual awakenings that contribute to the collective consciousness. So I truly believe there's so much good on the way for humanity, and I'm so excited to watch it unfold. Love you.
Okay, well, she had a little bit of strong language in there, but her message was absolutely great when you want to listen to that. So now let me take a look at some of the notes that you've been sending to me on Facebook. And it says, have I heard of the recent bond redemption? What bond redemption? The bonds are paid out through the Texas Processing Office. And if you folks, I've been around this for 10 years, and let me tell you, I have just heard story after story after story after story, and hardly any of them can back up factually what they have to say. Let me give you an example. When I first started on this, I was like with so many people, we were following what was called dinar recaps and all the stories that would come out, and they would tell you what the dinar was going to exchange at and how much it was going to be. And there were scores of thousands of people that were listening to and watching that program every single week. And I started politely writing in and saying, who has the scores of trillion? Now I don't want to say who has the trillions of dollars to pay for what you talk about. Where's this money going to come from? They never addressed that question. And after about me politely saying that about 4 times, they banned me from dinar recaps. And they basically my name is not allowed to appear on that site. I know the two gentlemen, I'll just say I'm aware of the two gentlemen who set up Dinar Recaps. One of them has been assassinated, and the other one is in prison for money laundering. It's a false platform that is designed to attract people in, to keep them thinking they're going to be able to walk into a processing office or a bank with their currencies and walk out multimillionaires. Folks, that is never, 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 ever going to happen. First of all, Treasury and CIA would never allow that to take place in that manner. But that's enough for that. And I'm not going to go into all those details. So all these different stories about the bond redemptions, Gino, I'm not certain what you're referring to of the recent bond redemptions, but if it's not coming through the Texas Processing Office, it's just another empty story. Now, you're wondering, how are the bonds coming? For those of you who have purchased bonds through me, it's important to understand that the bonds will be paid right around the same time as the currencies. When I first started that, I was told that they would come earlier. That has changed, okay? That information has changed. Now, talking about my trip that I took to Africa, that whole trip has been put on hold. They ran into some complications of some potential technical problems with one of the governments that is there, so that has been put on hold. So that's pretty much all that I've had for this week. Program's going about 35 minutes, and I think I'm ready to kind of call it an evening. Okay, so want to thank everybody for joining us here tonight, and hopefully I'll see you next week. All right, thanks a lot. Okay, bye-bye.